Hi, everybody. I'm Ann Katzoff of Ask Design. Welcome to today's tutorial, Building My First WordPress Block Theme, Part 1. As an early adopter of the Gutenberg block-based editor, using blocks to edit and create content is a breeze for me now. I dove into designing and developing my first WordPress block theme a few weeks ago. I did not anticipate that building block themes would have such a steep learning curve. There are growing pains. In this series of blog posts, I'll share the major steps in my journey, highlighting my biggest pain points. This is part 1 in a series. So let me set the stage. My initial setup uses the 2024 theme and WordPress 6.4.2. I also installed and activated the Create Block Theme plugin. This plugin allows you to do a couple of things. The first is you can create a new theme with it. My intention is to create a child theme so that my customizations won't be lost if the parent theme, 2024, is updated. More on this topic later in the series. The second thing that the plugin allows you to do is embed fonts into your theme, and I'll discuss this in step 1 coming right up. So let's go to the admin dashboard, and you can see, first of all, the Create Block Theme plugin that I've installed. And secondly, now that I've installed it and activated it, under Appearance, I have the Create Block Theme and Manage Theme Fonts options added. Without the plugin installed, you would not see those. So one of the great features of the Create Block Theme plugin is the Manage Theme Fonts functionality. With just a few clicks, fonts can be added to the theme's assets / fonts folder. And this is done through Google's API or loading fonts locally. GDPR requirements are thus satisfied, plus the appropriate code is added to the theme JSON file. So let's go through how to do it. We're in the WordPress admin and hovering over the appearance, the appearance menu item. Let's go to the Manage Theme Fonts section. Here we are with the Manage Theme Fonts page. You can see what's already loaded. I've already installed this additional family, but let's remove it, and I'll show you how I did it. These are the fonts that come pre-installed with the 2024 theme. You go up here in this area, you'll see 2 ways to add fonts locally. Fonts from your computer that you may have downloaded from another font vendor, or add Google Fonts, which is what we'll do. You can scroll the list, or what I'm going to do is type in the font that I want, Cabin, and then select the weights that you want. I'm going to go with 400 and 600. And what I usually do is find the matching italic. So let's go the 400 italic, 600 italic, and this blue button will do the magic for you. Let's go back to the Manage Theme Fonts page, and you can see they're loaded and all done magically by this plugin. They're also listed here in the right-hand sidebar. So step 1 in building my block theme was to add these fonts using that Create Block Theme plugin. So step 2 in building my block theme is adjusting the global settings for typography, colors, and layout. Now here the UI gets a little clunky. I'll show you what happens. We've got the editor, just to get to the design list of options. We'll go directly to styles. Now, there are several combinations here that you can choose from. Click through them and see which one speaks to you. I've selected the default one, and I think if you don't select anything, you'll get the default one. And then you've got these two icons up here, Style Book, Edit Styles. We'll go for the Edit Styles. And did you notice that suddenly that left sidebar disappears? We get a full screen, pretty much, of the content area and a right-hand sidebar where all the styles are. Once you've reached the Edit Styles section, you'll see the three areas that you can modify for the entire site: typography, colors, layout, and that's why I'm giving it the name Global Settings. In this section, the view did switch to show this new sidebar on the right and hide the left sidebar and the full content in between. I found it a little confusing at first, but nothing too jarring. So let's go through some of the global settings. For instance, typography. You've got these elements: text, links, headings, captions, buttons. You can click on each one, change the font, override whatever the default is for the theme. For example, here I've chosen the medium size, and probably it defaulted to appearance. And here are the different font options. You'll see the default fonts as well as whatever fonts you've added. It's pretty well flushed out. Links. You can change the decoration. These options are interesting for each one. You can add different elements or change the different elements. Headings, letter case, letter spacing, so each one has its own set of attributes that you can change. Next, let's look at colors. A couple of things to note. Here is the palette. So the theme comes packaged with its own palette. You can open that up, show the details, directly change them if you want with another color, or I take a different route. I leave those alone and I add my own custom colors. So I've added 3 here. I'm not going to add a fourth one. Or, well, let's add a fourth one. What the heck? Just so you can see what it looks like. If I change my mind, which I will, you can just easily delete it. And or you could remove all the colors. So I like all that flexibility. And then you've got the gradient, which consists of the theme gradient as well as any custom gradients that you might want to create, and duotones. I don't see that you can add your own duotones, but I haven't really explored that very much. Next, let's go back to the colors here. And for each of these, text, background, you can change all that. So it's a lot of fun. I've changed my links, the hover and the default, and I've changed my buttons, text, background, and you could do a gradient, but I didn't. So explore all that and have fun. So I was moving along smoothly until I got to the layout section. The default width for content is 620 pixels and 1280 for the wide width. I didn't have a clear idea of what those measurements represented, so I had to do some research and play around with the pages a little bit. I what helped me is that I examined different pages using the Chrome developer tools. So let me show you what I did. Okay, I found the head for the block, adjusting the space between WordPress blocks, and it tells me that it's 620 pixels wide for that element, and the styles for that show me the maximum width right here, uses a variable for the content size. Okay, so I thought, what if I changed that? Would the variable also change? So let's go back to, I made it 66% of the wide width, which comes to 840 pixels. So I'm going to save that. And it asks me, are you ready to save? It will be saved to Global Styles, Custom Styles. Okay, yes, I'm ready to save. Let's go back to the front and watch how this section changes a little bit when I refresh my screen. It got wider. I can see that it got wider, and now it tells me it's 840 pixels wide with my Chrome developer tools, and this still uses that variable. So that's all good and very, very reassuring. Okay, so now let's check out the wide width on the front end using Chrome developer tools. I've selected the header and then that block underneath. They both tell me we're at 1280 pixels, and on the Style tab, interesting again, that max width for that class uses the variable for wide size. So it's pretty cool. I finally understood once I could see the visual representation of it on the front end. I came to understand how much flexibility there is in the widths that you can use for various kinds of content and various kinds of layouts. As I progress through my customizations, I go to step 3, which is to view the style book. So let's go back to the dashboard. Okay. And let's see. Back to the editor and styles. Let me get rid of Chrome tools. Okay. Now, you may remember that we had these two options in the styles area here, where you can see the combinations of styles that come prepackaged. We want to now, instead of edit styles, we want to go to the style book. And this is where you can see the results of the global changes that you make in the style settings. And it helps me target which elements might still need modifications, which might need some tweaks. So you can see the style book from this screen, and if you go to the Edit Styles area, you can also see it in this screen. So right there. Toggle it on, toggle it off. So that's good stuff to know. I wasn't quite done with the layout area. The group layout settings were actually pain point number 2 for me. I began to notice this connection between the width choices and whether or not the blocks are nested and or grouped. Some blocks, like the query loop, I'll show it here, the query loop, use the content width with layout options for wide and full. So if I select that in the list view and hover over the align icon, I can see I can change from 840 to the wide width to even a full width because this has nested items in it. Let me show you a group block that gives you the same thing. Hold on. Okay, so I've selected a group block and I'm hovering over the align area, and you can see it's defaulting to none, 840 pixels, but I could change that if I want. Whereas a regular block, like a heading, doesn't, well, actually it does have that option. Hold on a second, but the paragraph doesn't. So usually when a block is not nested, you don't have that option to change the width itself. Furthermore, when working with a group, you can determine whether or not you want the inner blocks to use the content width. Group block settings have this toggle. So let me, in the list view, I've got the group selected. Let me see. There we are, right here. I'll go to settings, open up that sidebar. This is the toggle I'm talking about. It controls the inner block's content width. Now, it took time for me to wrap my brain around this concept. I'm still wrapping my brain around it. But basically, it gives you a whole lot of flexibility because you can override those widths in addition to just going with what you set in the global settings. So here we've got these options for 840 wide, 1280, or even full width, which is the full width of the screen. The toggle is on. If the toggle were off, let's go to, for example, the paragraph. Doesn't seem to have that. I don't know why, but here's a nested item. It has those options. The list, for some reason, doesn't. Image does. So I still have to explore this a little bit, and this is my brain working, and you can see my brain working as we speak. But this toggle for that group parent is currently on. If it is on, the nested items will have options for full and wide widths. If it's off, those options would disappear. So let's test that theory, and the option disappeared for the head and for image. So play around. I encourage you to play, explore, experiment. Don't be afraid of making mistakes, and see what happens. My journey will continue. I'm sure I'll come up with more pain points to share as the series continues. Again, please feel free to share your pain points and your journey with us, and we'll all learn together. And I hope this video was helpful, and feel free to leave comments and tell me what you think. Thanks a lot.